start recording. So welcome to Monday, February 3rd. Um, Kind of a sad, gloomy morning after the Broncos, but we'll hang in there. So we are going to continue what we started last Monday with talking about exercise and obesity and analyzing graphs, which is one of our school-wide goals. Um, for today, our world-class outcomes that we focus on more directly are the last two. And let's just read, and they're the health and wellness related world class outcomes. So I'm going to read our kid language that we developed just so you know what you're focusing on today. We're going to be forming ideas by exploring various sources that will help us make healthy decisions and forming an idea about the decisions you make and how they affect your friends, family, classmates, neighbors, and everybody. Yes, Claire, do you have a question?
I have a question just before we start getting into everything,
Okay.
since it's a little off topic. About the Young Ameritown dates for the job interview, is there anything other dates you can do, or are those the only ones?
Well, the job interview, and this is for fifth graders, so fourth graders, you don't need to pay attention, I guess. So for the interview, that's going to be a virtual classroom, so that's going to be easy to schedule whenever it works for you. But there are two training dates, and you have to go to those training dates, and they're only like an hour long before the actual field trip. So it's like an hour on March 13th and like another hour on March 14th. They're not long, like I said, but they are mandatory. And the reason that those dates can't be changed is because we're going with another school and they're the ones who, schedule it around their schedule because they have to work it in with when they go to PE and when they go to lunch and all that kind of stuff throughout the day. So,
Okay.
um, but like I said, those meetings on March 13th and 14th are very short. So, I hopefully you can make it. And
Well,
then,
it would have to depend on the times, really.
okay. Well, right now we don't have exact times. Right now I know it's like an hour in the afternoon of the 13th and like an hour in the morning of the 14th.
Okay.
So maybe you could take like a small break and go do that for an hour and then go back.
Maybe.
Okay. But I will, as soon as they give me an exact time, I will let you know. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. All right, guys. So, what we started last week is we were analyzing different graphs, and we're not going to spend as much time on them. We're just going to take a quick flashback, refresh our memories. Okay, so this first graph that we looked at together, let me make it bigger again. What did we conclude from the first top graph?
We concluded that there are a lot of children that are obese in the United States.
That's right, because this is the United States. You can see by the title. So we concluded that throughout the years, the obesity rates have grown. Okay, perfect.
Hi, Miss Bruns.
Oh, hi, Adam, and hi, no, not Deanjay, sorry, Micah. Thanks for joining us today. What we are doing right now is we are just refreshing our memories from those graphs that we went over last week. We're not going to spend as much time on them, but we're going to just quickly look at them again. So I muted everybody for just a quick second while you make sure that you don't have any background noise. Okay, the second graph here on the bottom, what did we conclude by looking at this bottom graph?
Oh yeah, it's just me and the kids.
Mics are back on?
The bottom graph showed that kids in Colorado, Utah, and Wyoming are not, so less of them are obese than in other countries. And in places like Kentucky and Wyoming, what's that?
West Virginia.
In Kentucky and Virginia, there are 20% of the people are overweight.
That's right. So we concluded that Colorado, Wyoming, and Utah are doing pretty well. And then why? Remember, we talked a little bit about why our states might be a little healthier. Do you guys remember that?
Yep.
Okay, let's hear from somebody who remembers why our state might have lower obesity rates.
I think I might know Miss Bruns.
Okay.
Maybe because we get lots of sleep, exercise, um, we have lots of crops, meaning vegetables we grow, and we get lots of water,
Yeah.
and that would be it.
Well, yeah, and I think one of those reasons that you stated that we go outside a lot, we have pretty good weather, and we are a very exercise driven type of state, with lots of trails and lots of hiking and lots of skiing and all that kind of stuff. It's a much better climate than somewhere like West Virginia where it's kind of like rainy and yucky outside all the time. Okay. All right. So Emma, I'm going to go ahead and mute you because I think you have a little bit of background noise going on. But once you take care of that, let me know in the chat and then I'll unmute you. All right. So then we moved from talking just about the United States into talking about rates around the world. And what did we conclude about the obesity rates worldwide?
Around the world, in the United States of America, are the places where it's the worst, and because in places like Korea and all of those places, people don't have as much money, and that's why they can't afford all that much food, and they don't have money to make trails and stuff.
Exactly. I love how you just made that connection between economics and obesity rates. Oftentimes, when you are talking about a poor country, um, those people obviously aren't as obese because they don't have money to spend on, well, food, and especially things like fast food. Also, a lot of times, countries who are a little bit more poor don't have cars. They have to like walk places. So, that also helps a little bit too. And poor countries don't have access to things like grocery stores or McDonald's. A lot of those kind of countries grow their own food. So, especially, and we're not even showing places like Africa here because they don't have any obesity rates. But those type of countries, which we will see in this next graph, definitely are responsible for making their own food. Okay, so let me show this graph. And so Emma, you're back on. Okay, so this was our world map of obesity, and obviously the darker blue, the worse it is. And so you can see places where they don't have a lot of money, like India and these countries in Africa that are light colored. Well, I mean, number one, like I said, they don't have access to grocery stores and they don't have cars a lot of times too. So they have to, walk places. Okay. All right. So any other conclusions that we draw or can draw from looking at these different graphs?
Well, go ahead, Tristan.
We kind of covered it. I mean, we did notice one difference, if you guys remember, between adults and children. So now we're looking at children. Any differences there that you noticed that popped up?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. And remember, I think it was around this region of the country, or I mean, of the world. What was the difference that you saw between children and adults?
With children, it was all light, but when we came into adults, that area was also dark.
Yeah, so that is very interesting that this this huge region of the world over in Asia, it looks like a lot of the kids are doing okay and aren't necessarily obese, but because you could see they're lighter colored, but the adults seem to have a bigger problem over there. However, they are still on the map. They are still
Well,
covered. So they still do have a little bit of obesity as a problem, but not as bad
most
as dark.
most of the countries it shows in are 0 to 6.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, you know, I mean, it's just one of those things to be aware of. And Patrick said in the chat just now that we have beautiful mountains, which might be why. Well, I think we have beautiful mountains that people like to go out and enjoy. So, back to why Colorado, I'm gonna pull that up again, why Colorado is probably one of those lower states for obesity. Okay. All right, guys. So that was perfect. Actually, we did a nice recap of the graphs that we analyzed from last week. Now, we'll come back to my graphs if we have time. But we're going to look at a slideshow of the most obese countries in the world. Here we go. Let's make a prediction, and I want everybody to use the chat to make this prediction. Okay, so we got the 10 fattest countries in the developed world. I bet you guys can make a pretty good guess as to what the number one country is going to be. Go ahead and make that prediction now into the chat. Yeah. Yeah. And some of you are sending private messages, and some are, um, coming up. Actually, Adam, I wouldn't say Colorado. I asked which country has the highest rate. So not state, but what country. And you're right, guys. United States is definitely going to be
Okay.
number one on this list. But now let's think a little harder. Any other guesses as to what countries might show up on the top 10 most obese? Go ahead and make a prediction into the chat. Okay, so countries, not continents. Ooh, okay, so we got a Canada is a guess. England is another guess. Those are good guesses. Maybe a Germany. Okay. Maybe France might show up on this list. Japan. I don't know. Japan seems like they do a lot of walking and eating healthy fish, but we'll see if they show up. Canada, Scotland. Okay, these are good guesses. Russia might show up. So what you guys right now are doing is you are drawing from. Oh, Micah must have gotten kicked off. You're remembering those graphs that we've looked at and making some pretty good guesses. Well, let's check it out. Oh, it already started with number 3. Darn it. Okay. Number 10 on the list is Finland. Wow. That's kind of interesting. I don't know. Finland is up there in Northern Europe. Why might they have why
What's Finland?
Finland is, let me show you where Finland is. Okay. I'll just pull up a map. It's in Northern Europe. So let's pull it. Oh, okay. So there it is. Let's pull up this map, make it a little bigger. Okay. So here's Finland. And just so you can kind of know where that might be, here's France down here, England or the United Kingdom. So they are definitely farther north. Why might they have made the list?
Because it's colder there, and the weather's never very good. And also that country is pretty rich, so they have a lot of money for food and all those kind of things.
That's exactly right. I love how you're doing this, Tristan. You've caught on to this so well. Finland is a developed and fairly wealthy country, so they have access to any kind of food that they want. And look how far north they are. They probably don't get outside very much to exercise. Okay, so that's number 10. Let's see what number 9 is.
Oh
Ooh,
man.
Luxembourg. Ooh, what do you see in this picture?
Restaurants.
Yeah.
Not the
Restaurants
people.
and tons of buildings and trees.
Yeah, and the thing that you really needed to see was that they have a lot of restaurants. So there again, this is another wealthy country with access to a lot of food. Let me show you on the map where Luxembourg is. It's funny, I actually did, it's a tiny little country. Oops. Whoa, I didn't mean to scroll in that much. Google Maps is very sensitive. it's
Yeah, it is.
It's a tiny little country right here. Do you see where my cursor is? Right here by
Uh,
France and
oh,
in Belgium. That tiny little country.
Part of Belgium. You see that tiny little dot.
Yeah, I did a report when I was 16 on Luxembourg for my French class. Anyway, let's see. Okay, I made it a little.
my mom once interviewed a famous singer.
Ah, where'd you go?
I know. I'm trying to make it bigger, but anyway, you get the point.
Yeah.
It's there again. It's in that European area. Okay,
So a rich country again.
another rich country. Exactly. Oops, didn't mean to go backwards. Okay, number 8, Ireland. Whoa! Any guesses as to why
Whoa.
Ireland might be on that list?
Restaurants?
What was that, Micah?
Lots of restaurants?
Yeah, they do. They have lots of restaurants. There again, they're a nice, wealthy kind of country.
And they're also really famous and stuff. So.
That's really close to Sweden
Mhm.
and Scotland, I think.
Well, here it is. At my cursor.
Scotland's way up there somewhere.
Yeah, Ireland is actually really close to England, right across the way here. Okay,
Yeah.
or the United Kingdom.
Oh, hi, England.
Yeah. So
I can take a 2-minute boat over to you.
And Patrick is saying in the chat that well, they have a lot of carbs. They do drink a lot of beer in Ireland. Yeah, and that's the truth. Beer is bad for you on many levels, but it has a ton of calories. So, okay. Oh, I keep going the wrong way. Sorry.
And also, they have a lot of deep fried stuff.
The United Kingdom.
Yeah. What are you looking at in this picture?
A really fancy restaurant called The Crown.
Yeah.
And again, it's got wine and beer.
So lots of
deep
access.
fried stuff.
Lots of wine, lots of beer, lots of fattening food. It's everywhere. I mean, and they have the money to spend on it.
We just saw the United Kingdom.
That is a very, very, very wealthy kingdom.
It can be.
Oh, country.
And then Canada.
I was right with mine. Wait, that wasn't my name.
Yes, you were. Canada is on this list because, well, guess who settled Canada? Lots of European people, right? And we've just been looking at all these European countries that have high obesity rates. So all of those people took their own life. Somebody has a ton of names. I think it's Emma. So Emma, I'm going to go ahead and mute you again. So Canada has a lot of, European history attached to it, and those type of people came over here and continued their way of life. Canada is also a very wealthy country. Like I said, lots of people have, I mean, pretty much everybody has cars, they have access to restaurants and that kind of thing. One of these days I will go the right way, I promise. Here we go. Australia.
Australia. Whoa, lots and lots of buildings.
Lots.
Whoa, and way too many people. We're all crammed
Wow.
together.
Yep. Yep. They are crammed, especially in their big cities. They're cramped, but they do have a lot of food. Check it out. Lots of restaurants here again. And a lot,
Yep.
same type of thing. Lots of money, lots of access to spend it on. Oh, this is kind of a surprise.
Oh,
Chile.
Chile.
Yeah. Okay, let's look on the map where Chile is so that you guys get.
I've never heard of what Chile is. Never
Yeah,
heard of
Never
it.
heard of a place called Chile.
well, here you're looking at it. Here's South America, and this red country right here
Whoa. It's on
is
the lower
Chile.
side of America. South America. South.
Oh, yeah, I know that's kind of a surprise. And they're number 4. So they're even worse than any of those other countries we've been looking at. Um, why do you think that might be? Why
Been
might
there
there be
before?
rates like this in Chile? So sorry, Mike,
Um,
I muted you. Just take a guess. There's really no right or wrong. Just why do you think maybe these people in this little tiny country on the western coast?
oh, I think I know.
Okay.
Um, because maybe they like laying around in the sun and stuff, like on the beach and stuff.
So they're lazy and they like to just
Yeah.
hang out on the beach. Okay. That could be.
And also, Miss Bruns, I just found out here, I looked at a graph, and the United States scores most of all of these states. It's like around 60 to 61 or 62% of obesity.
I know. And that was our prediction. We are actually number 1 on the list. But right now we're looking at number 4. And we talked a little bit about Chile and why they might have been on that list at all. Well, I do think that they have access to beaches, but believe it or not, Chile has a ton of really tall mountains in it. Um, so their landscape is kind of hard to navigate because they don't have like real developed roads like we do here in America. Um, and they probably don't have access to as healthy of food. If anybody has time after the virtual classroom to research more reasons why Chile ended up on this list, and you can email it to me, I would be like so happy because that would mean you're going the extra mile. And like I said, this one surprised all of us. So
Hmm,
okay.
that's kind of weird.
It was kind of weird. I'm not going to lie. I was kind of surprised. I mean, I do see from the picture that maybe they're a crowded country, but I can't think of any other concrete reasons. And I don't think
Well, beaches are always crowded, no
that's
matter
true.
where.
But the other countries are obvious because they're wealthy. They have a lot of access to restaurants, but I would not have thought that of Chile. So, yeah.
Oh, by the way, Miss Bruns,
Uh huh.
I got that graph here, and it was the one that I made.
Okay, well, fantastic. Let's get through number 3 and number 2 if this slideshow will let me get to it. Come on. Oh my gosh, it's freezing. Okay, there we go. Number 3 is New Zealand. And, oh, darn it.
Mexico was right.
I have no idea what
That's what I
I
said.
clicked on. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. Miss
I know,
Bruns,
I clicked on one
I'm looking
wrong
at this
thing and it
graph,
totally took me
and
off
wow.
base. Okay, New
Because I'm looking at
Zealand,
this
just
graph right
to,
here, and wow. Mexico is like 61%.
yeah, Mexico made the
Like
list.
like right below America.
Yes, exactly. They're catching up to America. And why might that be?
Well, most likely because they eat lots of Mexican foods.
Well, that could
And
be.
most of those Mexican foods are either deep fried or
Yeah,
breaded.
that's very true. And our American culture is kind of spreading south. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of vegetables in Mexico.
No, there's not. They don't have really good soil to grow things. And like I said, their native type of food, Mexican food, is very traditionally fatty and cheesy and carb loaded. But our American culture is also spreading south. So our influence with all of this fast food nonsense is starting to spread to them. Yeah, pretty interesting, huh?
And also, Mexico gets the occasional heat wave.
They do. They don't have very good weather. Thank you, Adam, for bringing that up. That's another reason they don't get outside to exercise much. It's not a lifestyle that they really participate in down there. Um, Not even if they knew how good exercise was for them. They just still, it's not part of their culture as much. Okay, so that was really fun. So let me go back to my agenda. Here we go. Only 8% of elementary schools, and this is in the United States, 6.4% of middle schools, and 5.8% of high schools provide daily physical education for all students. That's really low. In addition, 20% of all elementary schools in the United States have abolished recess in favor of increased classroom time due to the pressure of student achievement. Less than 25% of children are engaged in 30 minutes of daily physical activity. This is probably a little bit different for you guys because you can make your own schedule. But when kids are sitting in a regular classroom, they don't have a choice. They don't get to choose to go to recess or go exercise. Okay,
Yeah, I do a lot of exercise each day. Yeah.
good, good. And Emma, your microphone is back on. And that's really
I get like 20 minutes to do exercise every day.
well, that's great. Yeah.
And then the rest of the day is school.
Yeah. And, 20 minutes is still really good. And it's a very personal thing. I mean, some people have, health concerns and that kind of thing that makes it less for them. Other people exercise more, and that's totally fine. So, you guys ready to? And I think this is what Adam has already done, which is cool. So, Adam, at the end, after I explain it, we'll show yours because you already have a completed version, okay?
Okay, but I haven't quite scanned it yet.
Oh, well then, if you haven't scanned it, then don't even worry about it, because you have a week to do so. So here we go. And Patrick was talking about this in the chat earlier. He was kind of confused as to what BMI stands for, and what BMI stands for is.
I think I know what. I think I need. It means body mass something.
Body mass index.
Excuse me.
So there is something called BMI and a body mass index, and you have to calculate based on, and I'm showing the picture right here, based on your height, your age, and your weight. And there's a calculation, which I'm about to show you, and then it will give you a number. So let's just say you calculate your BMI and you get a number of 19. What is your weight status?
Normal.
Normal. Good. So let's say you calculate your BMI and you get a number of 32. What is your status?
That's obese.
Very good. Okay. So we are going to calculate BMI. So you're going to be taking a survey of 10 people. You're going to be asking them some questions. And if you don't know 10 people, then 5 is fine as well. And Claire was, saying, well, and somebody else, who exercises quite a bit is saying that their weight shows that they're underweight, and they're probably not, because if you're an intense athlete, these calculations aren't exact. So don't worry if it comes up that you're in this underweight category. You're probably not because you're an elite athlete. Okay. All right. So
Um, Can you do yourself, or does it have to be somebody else?
Yeah, you can count yourself as one of those 10 people for sure. So, Charlie, you're about 15 minutes early, so this is going to be kind of confusing for you. So you might want to come back at 10:15. Okay? All right. So by February 10th, which is a week from today, you're going to take a survey of 10 people. You can be one of the people in the survey. And then next time, we're going to graph our data. So, first things first, let me show you the chart. If you scroll down, here's the chart that you're going to be printing out, that you're going to fill in after you survey those people. So, we're going to do my example together in just a minute. And then that's going to help you when you have to, when you have to fill out everybody else's BMI. Okay, here's the confusing part. Are you ready?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. You have to see this form that's linked? You have to fill out this form 10 times, one time for each person. Let me show you the form. It doesn't take long. It doesn't take long at all. It's the exact same chart, basically, that you're going to end up filling in. So, what is your name? You just click on option 1 because it doesn't really matter what the person's name is. How old is the person? What is their height? What is their weight? And then what is their BMI? So, I think, and this is just my personal opinion, but I think it's easier to do this first and then go back and fill in the electronic version. Okay?
Too bad my little brother wasn't one yet.
Oh, yeah. Don't calculate.
Could we wait 2 months?
Well, no. You can even make it up if you really can't find 5 to 10 people. So I think it's easier to do this step first and then fill in the electronic version. But in order to know BMI, we have to know how to calculate BMI. So go to this website that I've linked. See it? Site. Click on it. Are you ready to calculate my BMI?
Yep.
I guess.
I know, I can't even believe I'm sharing this with you guys. But you get to a certain point in your life where you don't really care anymore. And yeah, I'm really not concerned if you guys know how much I weigh. It's fine. Okay. 149 pounds. I am 5'8". I am a female, and my birthday. This makes a difference because it'll calculate age as well. So, like I said, somebody who's 14, your BMI is going to be a little bit different than somebody who is 33, like me. So let's get to. See, I have to scroll all the way down. Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, yay! So I probably wouldn't have shown you this if I wasn't normal. But either way, so you will go back to your chart. Dun, 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 scroll on down. And what was my BMI?
22.5 or something like that.
Yes, exactly. And then my exercise range, I was either one of these two categories, V or VI. Okay, it just kind of depends on the week, basically, how much.
Is that per week? You mean?
Yeah, per week. Per week. So once you notice how much people exercise, like I'm in the higher range for exercise, you're going to start noticing a trend. The people who exercise less tend to have higher BMIs. So that's your hint. Okay. Are there any questions on what you're going to need to do by February 10th? Okay, go ahead, Claire.
My mom just took my BMI weight, and it shows I'm underweight.
Well, like I said, Claire, you're kind of a competitive athlete, and so you're probably really not underweight. You're actually probably closer to normal. But like I said, this gets a little funky if you're like an elite athlete like you are. Okay. So I wouldn't worry.
She's an
Um,
athlete? I never
yeah,
knew that.
she's a figure skater and she spends a lot of time doing that. So that's going to kind of factor in. But don't worry, I think you're fine. Okay.
Well, my mom says like in order to do what I had to do, I had to keep it kind of underweight.
Exactly. Yeah, you have to. Yeah, figure skaters, dancers, a lot of the people that you're going to see in the Olympics in the next couple of days coming up have very low BMIs, but it doesn't mean that they're unhealthy. Okay. When you really need to start to worry is if you're in this category. Okay, the totally obese category, then it starts to be like heart disease issues and that kind of thing. Okay. All right, my little 9:30 group, you are done for today. Excellent job analyzing these graphs and talking through it. Today was a lot of fun. Yes, Adam.
Before we go, Miss Bruns,
Uh-huh.
could I share this little BMI I made?
Sure, it's kind of hard to see, but everybody take a look at Adam's picture. Hold it up. Hold it up for your camera, Adam.
Okay.
Okay, so tell us what we're
This
looking
is
at.
it. Yes, the camera's making it backwards.
Yeah. Well,
So,
go ahead.
so to get BMI, take height divided by weight, which you get BMI.
Uh-huh.
Now, from looking at charts and graphs in my surroundings, obesity is growing. We need to have a better control. We each can take a part by eating right, exercising, getting plenty of water and sleep, and at fast foods, we can still make a good food choice. Like, instead of getting a hamburger, you could get a salad. Or instead of a salad, you could get a grilled sandwich.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Now, if we all take a part worldwide, the numbers on the scales will shrink, and so will our bellies.
That's right. Good job. Very nice, Adam. So he actually, I showed you a super easy way to figure out BMI, and that's just by plugging it into this calculator that I'm showing. But yes, I can teach you the actual formula to do it next time, so you don't have to use it in a calculator format. But either way, 9:30 group, you are ready to go. Okay?
Bye.
Okay,
Bye. Have
bye.
a fantastic Monday.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
I'm gonna end this.
Bye.